is set up, I think it is not completely possible to altogether obliterate ASD, but we'll have to live with it. But yes, there are certain things which we can do to try and prevent that it doesn't happen. And if it happens, I am trying to share my few slides with you. So it's either adjacent segment degeneration or an adjacent segment disease, radiological versus clinical, although both the terms have been used interchangeably. So the potential changes can be anywhere from listhesis to instability to stenosis to disc herniation to scoliosis to compression fracture. And the pathology itself decides what treatment needs to be done. So the revision strategies may just be observation. It may be blocks. It may be decompression discectomy alone, or it may be decompression and extension of fusion. So it has been shown in literature that the radiological ASD happens in 45% patients. This is a long follow-up, 33 years follow-up, but actually only 5% may require surgery at the end of the day. This is an old paper. Now that 5% may have increased, but still there is a scope for monitoring them. So this is the case of a young man, heavy worker with a single level big disc and sort of Kodai-Koina syndrome. He undergoes a TLIF and he presents 2 years post-operatively with an adjacent segment herniated disc with a right anterior thigh/leg pain. And this was the patient we managed conservatively with rest, and in 3 months he improved. And incidentally, 1 year after that he got a disc at L2-3 level, which we treated with blocks. So managing conservatively is still a sort of thing which you can consider. Another female with an unstable spondylolisthesis, fixation is done, TLIF, and 5 years down the line she has subtle listhesis and some back pain, was again treated conservatively, and now 1 year down the line she still has radiological listhesis but no pain and is carrying out her daily activities normally. So when it comes to intervention, this is a patient who underwent a sort of a fusion and develops a distal segment ASD with some stenosis and pain. She is elderly, Parkinson, diabetic, whatever IHD you can think of, and her pain relief was managed by these root blocks which we have given, and she could sort of take it for another 1.5 to 2 years when she eventually had to undergo a surgery. Another patient who had a severe claudication after a staphyplating done 17 years ago, beautiful surgery, fused, but developed a prolapsed intervertebral disc at the L5-S1 level, and this patient was treated by just decompression or discectomy. Now this is a controversial thing. There are endoscopic techniques also described. I think in select group of patients we are sure that it's a distal level, stable level, you can consider sort of doing this type of procedure, but again it is a controversial thing, because if you don't fuse and the patient gets recurrence, then you are in a difficult situation. 63-year-old male, low back pain with claudication, gets operated, but again after 7 years of index surgery develops an instability at upper level. So in this case we tried to do a TLIF at that level, try to get more lordosis at that level so it can compensate for something which has lost in the lower fixation. And in certain scenarios we have to consider choosing the right levels, like in this patient where a L1 to L5 fixation was done, sorry, D12 to L5 fixation was done, and this patient developed an adjacent segment on top of the construct with a myelopathy. She underwent bilateral TKR also because of this myelopathy, difficulty in walking, and she was not better. So in this case we had to extend it to D10 level, which is the next stable level. And another case with 47-year-old female who had a severe osteoporotic RA, fixed kyphosis. There was no sort of moving of this thing. We fixed her in this position. We can see that this is a sort of almost a straight back, but that's how she was. And 5 years post-op, she develops a adjacent segment. Now in this type of case, you need to try to restore some lordosis at that level. But again, doing sort of major interventions or osteotomy at these type of patients, it is very risky and difficult. So she still is holding on, and on conservative management, there is no deficit. She's been moving around with some pain. So we are observing her. Minimal invasive, like this patient who had undergone a minimal invasive TLIF, can be revised in the similar way develops an ASD. And since the lower level was fused, we did a minimal invasive TLIF at upper level, removing the lower screws because we wanted to exchange the implant. And there are some literature reports of standalone OLIFs done for adjacent segment or OLIFs with bridge plates or something. I do not have any experience in this, so I cannot sort of decisively say that whether you should do it or not. So the take home message in these scenarios is that do it right the first time, try to take all precautions for preventing an ASD. Observation in mild cases is possible. Just because of a radiological ASD and patient with mild symptoms, you can still observe them, you can still sort of treat them conservatively. It may be another 2 years, 3 years they may require, but not immediately. It will delay the adjacent ASD. And any revision, we have to remember, is a chance for another ASD happening at the cranial level. Try to restore optimal sagittal balance. We don't want all parameters right and patient sort of landing up with another thing or a complication. And most important in all of these is that if they are osteoporotic, and this is mostly in degenerative situations, then treat the osteoporosis because it will help you to prevent ASD. Thank you very much.